gamers, welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve. There's some Godzillas and a bunch of clutter on my table. So I'm working on a few projects here at once. One tying into this guy. And what this video in particular is going to be about is this one. Because we're going to make this Bandai 2000 Godzilla into an action figure. So what we're doing is my buddy Matt sent me a NECA Mazer 2003. We're going to be pretty much converting this into him. So what I need to start with for this, because the big predominant things we're going to be changing is head, dorsal spines. So we're going to cut off the head, cut off the dorsal spines off this figure, and then we're just putting it onto the other one. And I'm also going to try to make it posable for the head. I was initially thinking about sculpting, but I've seen some other people attempt this, and I think it could work. Is pretty much just cutting out the lower jaw here and leaving the upper part of the head and the mouth here, and then just cutting out the inside of the mouth and just kind of reusing the NECA head to sort of fill in the seams, if you will. So what I initially need to do is I'm going to sit here with my hair dryer. I'll show you guys on one dorsal spine, and then I'll go through and do the rest off camera so you guys can see. I got my little X-Acto blade here. It's not the best one. I don't know where my other blade went. But once this is heated up, it'll do. Hopefully. Otherwise I'll have to go find my other one. But I'm going to take my hair dryer. You want to do it for about 15 seconds or so. And the reason why I'm doing this is so that this is a lot more pliable, and then this knife hopefully should go through it like butter at this point. So you just grab the top of the spine. And there we go. We got one. So now I gotta lay these out so that it makes sense for the spines here. So I'm just gonna lay them out in a little area, and I'm just gonna kind of work down with the spines and just slowly set them down, do the middle, do the other side, and then we'll bust out the NECA and I'll show you how I'm going to be cutting those. But we'll do this is kind of a big section. Oh, this is actually just one huge section right here. That's a problem. Huh. Well, anyways, we're going to cut it off. Worst case scenario, we'll use it on the... We'll just reuse some of the other spines, but... Picking them up. And then... Just get as low as I can and just slowly start cutting it. But I gotta try not to get into the actual spine on the back here, because that could be a problem. And if I need to, I'll clean up some of my spine cuts later. And woo, whatever. In order for this to make sense. So we got one giant piece. You can kind of see the way the back of the spine was. Do the same for the other side. Yeah, you just kind of keep going. You want to try to be careful, but you also want to be fairly quick, because the longer you let the vinyl cool down, the harder it's going to be for your blade to go through it afterwards. That also helps, because like I mentioned, I don't want to cut into the middle on accident. So now these are a little more flexible. So I'll go through, cut the rest of these, and then we'll move on to the NECA. Alright, so real quick, what I'm doing with the head here. I already heated it up, so it's a little squishy, so I'm going to try to do this quick. But I'm going to be cutting this part slowly out and then coming around. The same with this slowly out, coming around for the teeth here. And then going underneath the jaw. That's going to kind of overlay on this section here. So when it opens and closes, this should open and close theoretically. And then this will kind of be like a mask going over top of the section here. And that should hopefully give me the right look that I want. So now it's just being careful that I don't cut the teeth. I'm just trying to felt that almost go to my finger. Alright, that side's good. Same with this side. This is more or less good. Now it's just slowly working my way around the neck region here. And I gotta be careful because there might be a part where the vinyl is a little softer than in other sections, because the blade will just kind of come flying out. It hits a nice soft pocket. Theoretically, if I got everything, it should come apart. Looks like I missed a couple things, so a little bit of cleanup. So it's kind of hard after this point because a lot of this is just going to be me trimming and trying trim to fit. Because you'll see here, actually, I fit pretty well. Going to be mainly like heating it up to get it to stay. And that's the same thing with this, kind of working this lower jaw in to make sure that that's going to work good. So I'm just going to keep kind of adjusting and sort of just sitting it back on the head here until looks good. Alright, so just to give you guys a little bit of an update. I currently have shaved down Godzilla's head a bit because I'm trying to repurpose the Bandai vinyl to kind of fit over top of it. And then I have to remove the teeth and stuff still on the inside, but I'm just trying to kind of gauge how it's going to fit. And then I'll probably have to add a little bit of sculpty there just to kind of fill in the lines, but I want it to still be articulated. So slowly just kind of whittling away at it till I can get it the right size. Because I might have to just redo the inside of the mouth too with some sculpty, but we'll get to that hurdle when we get to that hurdle. Next, I'm going to be removing the spines on this one, and then we'll glue them on, and I'll show you that process. And then I'm going to sit here and get everything set up, and then pretty much whatever I got sculpt and paint after that, we'll cut back to here. But I'm going to take, just to show you guys, for the most part, like, this would, if you didn't really want to get too technical, this would work, but the spine should be a little bit bigger. So like we did earlier, we chopped off a bunch of the other spines. So the predominant spine here is going to be replaced by the one from the Bandai. So you get that little bit more elongated spine. And then just do the same thing I did previously. Ooh, knocked everything over. Table's a little messy. Wherever I put that X-Acto knife. There it is. And we're just going to remove the spines. So I have one. We got a few. Gotta look at some pictures and make sure I get the right order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're just gonna pretty much just be taking all these off and just swapping them out with those. And then for the most part, the lower ones we'll keep together. But I'm going to try not to do any damage to these because I also have to add a couple of spines, so I might repurpose a couple of these for different sections here. So I guess, by the way, I don't got a good angle at that. But the main reason I heat it up to begin with is just so that it's softer for when I do go to cut this off. And I'm just trying to make sure as I'm cutting to not go into the other spines that I kind of want to try to keep. And then I can clean this up later, because you can always just go back to the other side and just keep smoothing it out. But it's just a bit of a pain in the butt to get the initial cut through. Just make sure, taking time, kind of bending these spines down, just slowly working my way through. Because you also want to make sure, as you're cutting, don't keep your fingers near the blade, because when you get to the end, it can definitely skip. And then guess where it's going to end up if it skips, if you got your finger in front of it. This part I should be able to just get to the base. And I'm kind of just resting it on the plate here, and then just rotating the blade forward and not moving the entire section. Thankfully, this top's going a little easier. So this guy's going right here. And it looks like no matter what, I'm going to have to probably sculpt a little bit just to clean up the spots. But I think what I'm going to do is kind of keep this base here and just kind of sculpt around that if I'm going to do anything. So one thing that's nice, always get like reference photos whenever you're working on something like this. Worst case scenario, you can always just look up the actual suit. So it's literally facing that way. Oh, is it supposed to be like that? So I was doing this backwards. Okay, so the spiny goes this way. Literally after this, all I'm going to be doing is taking some super glue, gluing it down. Nice thing about vinyl, when I put it on there, it's going to stick. You hold it for a second. If you guys seen some of my other custom videos, I also have an accelerant. Wherever that went. Oh, right here. This stuff right here, it's insta-set, so when you glue it, you just spritz, hardens it pretty fast. So I'm going to clean this up, get the spines on it. Pretty much just going to be laying all the spine work down, and then come back when everything's all glued in. Alright, well that was fun. Got it all test fitted, so we got the spines all laid out. Had to get a little creative, so a couple of these. Added some more spines up here because it looked like he had a couple of bigger ones towards the top. I actually reused one of the dorsal plates that I cut off of the NECA with one of the vinyls, because he has a little section here where he's got a couple of extra spines, and then most of the rest of it is pretty much just the original figure, because it matches pretty well. That and these kind of looked like a hot mess together, and it would have looked really good and been a little more sculpting. So this will be overall fine. Got the head on. I got it too. It'll pose a little bit. Might try to trim the teeth down a little bit, but for the most part, like, it's on there. So next, for the most part, it's going to be pretty much just painting. I don't think I really got I might have to sculpt her on the jaw. One thing I've definitely noticed is that my review table, as the more I start customizing things, gets more and more messy until I have to actually eventually clean it. But anyways, where we're at currently with this is I've done a little bit of dry brushing with them to get the base color, but it's pretty much, if you've seen a lot of the Godzilla videos I've done, it's mostly the same, just a jet black for the base tone, and then it's still fairly dark, so I just went with a really dark gray. They call it pavement. For dry brushing over top of it, just to give a little bit of color variety. His head is currently glued in. And then all the spines are on. I did all the sculpting for the back. I'll show you guys when it's all done. How that looks. You can see a couple of the paint spots aren't perfect for the black. But all the parts that need to be perfect are perfect. Now it's just kind of like touching up a couple of spots with a smaller brush. And then I got to do all of the spine painting, which is where there's a couple of imperfections, but I'm going to be covering back up anyway, so it don't matter. And then just paint the nails, clean up the teeth, and we're done. Except, one thing I need to do, because of the way I did this, he's got a little bit of, I don't know if you guys can see it from back there, but he's got some gapping in his teeth. So what I want to do is stick a little bit of epoxy putty in there, just to kind of fill in the seam between the teeth and the jaw. just to kind of make it look a little cleaner. Same with on the roof of the mouth, and then I'll touch it up with some paint. So I got another thing I got to do here too. So I'm actually just going to mix up quite a bit of this. Because a lot of this is just going to get jammed into a foot, which I'll also be doing a video of here for that. So I need one like this. About that big would work. I'm hoping. I might have to make some more because I got a few things I got to sculpt here. And what I'm doing, this is just 2-part epoxy putty. I'm not usually super precise, I just kind of eyeball it, which looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to combine it. I don't like wearing gloves when I'm messing with clay because I really like being able to feel it, but this stuff is very sticky. At least to skid. And this can be hazardous. Also, if you guys hear something in the background, my 3D printer is going, because that's going to be its own little video. I'm currently making a Mudo, so we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping well, because if I can make a solid figure with this thing, then I know I can pretty much do any kind of figure. So that'll open up quite a bit of avenues for content for the channel, for customizing purposes. Plus, if you guys want something done, if you guys got a 3D model yourself you'd like to have printed, would be able to do it. Because, like I said, it's kind of my dream at some point to be able to work at home and just kind of do this kind of thing for a living. Because, like, doing the YouTube videos would be great, but I really like just messing around with figures and adjusting them, changing them. Plus, I really like Godzilla, so I enjoy working on Godzilla-related stuff. Alright, so got a little bit, just kind of enough to get in there, and then I'm just going to kind of squish it down with my little ball stylus here. So I just want a little strand if I can get it, and just start kind of resting it on the jaw. Try to zoom it a little more just so you guys can see, but it's got a little bit of the clay in there already. Take another little strand, smooth it out a bit. Like I mentioned, the stuff's really sticky. Well, sorry. It's sticky to the things that I don't want it to stick to. But it'll get the job done. Alright. I think I need my smaller bit. Grab the piece that I want. Just going to get it towards the back here. Yeah, this should be enough putty that's inside of the mouth, so now it's just kind of packing it in. It's one of those ones, like the nice thing at least about like sculpting this part is it doesn't need to be pretty. I just really don't want that gap hanging out there in the jaw. And I'm going to imagine Matt probably doesn't want that too, so it'll look a little bit more toy-like than just a figure wearing a vinyl head. That looks pretty good. Just going to do the same thing on the other side. Just kind of move up the jaw. I definitely need some more putty on that side. Just going to take a little piece from the bottom there. And just keep kind of adding to it. Thankfully, the bottom jaw is the big part that I got to fill. The top's just little sections, so it's not going to be nearly as much of a pain to kind of fill and get it to look right. This is pretty much it. So I'm just going to keep kind of working away at it, just trying to smooth it down a little bit and try to hide the seam lines a bit. And then do the same thing for the roof of the mouth, and then from there on is just finishing up painting. So where you guys will probably cut to next is going to be pretty much the finished product, so then I'll just go over all of that. I gotta make sure I'm not handling this too much because I'm going to get clay in spots I really don't want to. Alright, just show you guys the finished product of the Godzilla 2000 NECA figure. I think it turned out really nice. You got the dorsal spines here, which are done I had to mix some paint up together, but it was a mix between a metallic purple and a pearl red in order to get the look here. Just paint over top of all the spines. As you guys can see, we got the Godzilla 2000 spines here for the back section, and a couple of extra little plates in a few spots from the Bandai vinyl, and using the ones from the NECA 2003 that was the base. Mainly kept the spines intact mostly here. Outside of added the extra little plates up top here just to kind of coincide with the look a little bit better. We have his head here, which yes, the jaw can articulate. Not super crazy, but you can get them kind of close, kind of open. We did the sculpting on the inside of the mouth, which looks really good. And can't really tell too much that it was originally a Bandai vinyl, you know. Like looking hardcore, you can see the teeth are definitely a lot bigger, and there's some fillage, which would be from the vinyl. I cut away as much as I could without removing too much of the detailing. And then around the neck, we did the sculpting. So there is some articulation here, but nothing too crazy. You get him to go a little bit forward and a little bit back, and a little bit side to side, but he's still posable, just not insanely posable as the normal head would be, but still a decent range of motion. For the rest of the figure here, it was just painted in black, and then went over him with a dark gray to give him a little bit of texturing for the scaling. I had to use some my glue sealing technique for some of the spots that could rub. But yeah, pretty pleased with the end result overall. Hopefully Matt enjoys it too. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys like this figure, which NECA would have made their own 2000. I'm kind of sad that they didn't because oh man, I feel like that thing would have sold like hotcakes, especially since Monster Arts has never really done one. So it would have been cool to actually see one done like this. Also been nice because then when I have the scar here on the chest, I decided to leave it because removing it and then resculpting that just seemed like a little bit too much work for not enough reward. And then it's not really even that noticeable when I just use the paint to match the coloring. Like it's not gonna really stand out too bad. And I really love the way the spines came out. Well, help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. We also got Instagram, Patreon, Pinterest, and Facebook. Guys, like to keep up to date with the channel, donate. If you guys like to get a hold of me, got my own Instagram. Have it down in the description below. Easiest way if you guys would like to find out about getting a commission done for yourselves. I do have some more in the works here, so look forward to those sometime in the near future. And see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.